Welcome, Sainers. It's Saints TV. It is lineup. It's Thursday night, so we know that, this is the night where we're either going to be very pissed off or we're going to be very happy with what's going on at the footy club. And the teams have come out, and it's been kind of news for the last couple of hours, but Nathan Freeman is finally debuting for St Kilda. It's been 3 or 4 years for him, countless injuries, and he's finally making his debut. The ins in general are actually 4 very strong ins compared to 4 pretty average outs. The players that everyone's been calling for, there's Gilberts, there's Mav Wellers, there's those sort of guys that have been dropped, and we're getting guys like Nathan Freeman, Jimmy Webster, David Armitage, and Hunter Clark back in the team. So I'm really optimistic about Saturday night. I think we go in against the Dogs pretty confident. I think we are favourites. But I'm just super excited to see Nathan Freeman play. We've heard so much about him. He was pick 10. He went to Collingwood. He was likened to Dangerfield in his explosiveness out of the packs with the footy. And he's just been building the last 7 weeks at Sandringham. And he's well-deserved. Everyone's been waiting. It's been kind of like teased out of us the last couple of weeks. Thinking he was going to debut against Carlton, against Richmond, against West Coast, and all these teams. But it's finally going to be Saturday night, 7:25 against the Western Bulldogs, which is, they haven't been travelling that well and very similar to us. They're still above us on the ladder, but they've been kind of up and down and just not themselves since their premiership, really. And it's going to be exciting to see players like Nathan Freeman and see the Caulfields and the Hunter Clarks running around, Jade Gresham's, running around against an undermanned and, kind of an experienced Dogs team and thinking that, they could really get a good performance in. So I'll just quickly go through the changes as they are for both teams, and you can kind of get an idea of why I think our 4 changes are actually, they really do strengthen us. So we've got Jimmy Webster, who's obviously probably in our top 2 best and fairest right now, coming back. Nathan Freeman, who we know can be anything. He can be a gun. He could be the next big thing for us. Wait and see. But, there's so much kind of on his shoulders right now, and all the talk about him and how good he could be. So I don't want to give him too much pressure, but there's a lot of people that are hoping that he just turns out to be a superstar that we've kind of been missing in terms of his pace and use with the ball. Hunter Clark is back, which is good. He was omitted a few weeks ago, which I knew was going to happen because he needed a rest, but he's back now. He's had his week off. He can come back and hopefully do a really good job. And then you've got David Armitage, who's a bit more experienced in the midfield, and it was surprising when he got dropped last week, so it's no surprise that he's back that quickly. It gives us a lot more grunt in the middle, and hopefully Nathan Freeman can play more half forward, maybe that Mav Weller role to begin with. Probably not straight into the midfield, but the half forward flank hovering across the wing, that'd be great. In terms of the Western Bulldogs, have got Ronk Smith coming back, Tory Dixon, and Lin Jong as well. Their last 2 there in particular are premiership players, I believe. Then you've got Fletcher Roberts, who's actually omitted. Mitch Honeychurch, again, probably a big one. And Marcus Adams, who's a big bloke. So there's a few big ones there for the Dogs in terms of their outs, and they haven't really replaced them in their ins. So I think we're getting them at a really good time. Obviously, they've got Josh Shackey in the forward line, who is from Brisbane, so he's always going to pose some problems. But we're sticking with the back line of Nathan Brown and Jake Carl, and obviously Nick Caulfield there, and Jimmy Webster's back. So this is probably as excited I am in terms of our lineup as I've been all season. You've got players like Hunter Clark, David Armitage, you've got Josh Battle still in the lineup, Seb Ross, Tim Membry, Blake Acres back last week, Jack Billings, Nathan Freeman, Jack Sinclair. This is as excited and as up and about I've kind of been in a game. I know the season's kind of done and it doesn't matter if we win or lose really, but this lineup could be, is as close to what I want it to be as it's ever been this season. And I think this is probably one of the few weeks where we've had changes and I'm not getting any negative sort of comments from you guys. Everyone's kind of optimistic about the game. They're happy that, the players that they wanted dropped were dropped. Nothing against Mav Weller and Gilbo, but really they're not going to be in our best, 22 next season. And I think players like Nathan Freeman and Hunter Clark can definitely be in that category. In terms of what I think is going to happen in the game, sorry I'm kind of flying through this. I'm very busy tonight, but I think we'll win. I think we'll win. I think we'll win comfortably. Nothing against the Dogs, but I thought even against GWS last week, we did lose by 4 goals, but we were in the game for a good 3 quarters, and it kind of just fell away in that third quarter where they kicked 6 goals to 3, but I'm really, happy with kind of what I've been seeing. They smashed Carlton. We won 3 of our last 5 or 6, by the terrible performance against Richmond, but we've been generally pretty good, on the right side of the bye. Prior to the bye, we were struggling. We all know that, but we've kind of lifted a little bit. And Richmond, we all know how good Richmond are. We saw what they did last week and what they've done to everyone. So it's hard to judge our performance just on that Richmond one. But if you're going against Melbourne, against Carlton, against the Gold Coast, even GWS, we've been good in 4 or 5 of those games. So I'm quite excited about that. Darren's asking, Akers played second ruck earlier in the year, maybe him. It could be a possibility. I don't really want Akers spending too much time in the ruck because, he's a midfielder and ruckman, midfielders that go in the ruck tend to get injured and they're out for a long period of time. So, and with the specific injury that he was out with, I don't think it's a smart move from the coaching team to get him in that area again. I'm super excited. I think where are the Bulldogs on the ladder? They are around the 13 mark, 12 mark. So I think they're a win ahead of us. But if we win this, I think we almost level on points, or we just get ahead of them because we've had that draw. So on average, we've had more disposals and more hitouts, but then the rest is all with them. Contested possessions, inside 50s, clearances, free kicks. They did beat us last time. The last time we met, they beat us by 40 points in round 10 last year, which is kind of a game I don't remember because it was kind of a nothing game. I was going into it thinking we'd do a job, but we were terrible. That's one of those games you kind of just forget about. And prior to that, we beat them by 15 points. They beat us by 10 goals. They beat us by a goal, and we beat them by a goal. So there's always been a bit of niggle in the Saints Bulldogs games. I've thought every time I go, even dating back to the Gian Syracuse knocking and Kajitsky kind of hitting and that kind of happening. Ever since that, it's kind of been something. There's been a lot of heat around it, and I think both teams that are kind of in the same position this year, they're going to go hard, and that's why I hope it's a good game. And I think I'm just having that feeling of when Nathan Freeman runs out, and just the raw, even watching the video on the Saints website today of Richo announcing it, and he even said it's as loud as he's heard the team when they've announced a debutant. So yeah, I'm super excited. I hope you guys are too. I think it's worth getting to the game just to see him up close and just to see how he performs. I don't want to put too much on him, but everyone's kind of talked him up for certain reasons in terms of his pace, in terms of his ability to get the ball. I just hope he doesn't injure himself. I know someone has to say it, and it might as well be me, but I just hope he gets through the game unscathed. We get a win and he has a good performance. That would be the ultimate Saturday night for a Saints fan. We always know it's not going to be that easy because we are Saints fans, so the Dogs will have their patches in the game. I'm sure that's the thing about the Dogs is they may not be the most skillful team in the comp, and they weren't even the most skillful when they won the premiership. But they just work fucking hard. So hopefully this is a game where we can outwork them. And I think we have probably a bit more silky skill on the outside with Sinclair and Jade Gresham in ridiculous form right now. So I'm super excited to go. I'm going to wrap it there, guys, but I'd love to hear your thoughts. What are you most excited about for Saturday night? Is it Nathan Freeman? Is it to see Jade Gresham? Is it to see just the team, just the guys to play again? I'm excited that they're back in Melbourne. We've got a couple more games until the end of the season, so just get to the games. Let's get a crowd. Let's get a few wins, and just get going. I'm super excited, and I'm going to tip a win. I'm going to tip us by 39 points. I think we'll kick over 100 points, and I think we'll keep them to 14 goals. So anyone else want to shout how much, what the margin is, who's going to win, best player, go for it in the comments. Let me know your thoughts. I'm going in with full optimism, genuinely full optimism. I'm expecting a good performance from the guys, particularly on a high of Nathan Freeman playing back in Melbourne in front of the fans, playing against a team that we can beat. They're not in the best form, and then they haven't been in the best form for the last 2 years. So every chance we can win this, and I hope we do. So thanks guys for watching. I can't even talk. And I'll see you Saturday night, hopefully to talk about a big win. See you then.